That's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff.
Hello, my name is Kevin Olsvalmers. I'm hanging out here on the couch with my son Quinn Olsvalmers. Quinn, can you say hi?
Hi.
Hey, welcome to the first episode of Minnesota Brews with the KAD. KAD Korean adoptee being me. Quinn, can you say hi again?
Hi.
Quinn, what am I drinking here?
Beer.
It's a beer. It's Surly Furious. So what we do for these episodes is combine two of my favorite things. Minnesota Brews. In this case, it's Surly Furious, which I took over to the first folks that I had a conversation with, which would be Erin, I spies on my grandmother, and Amy Nafsker, however you pronounce her name. Anyway, so we went to her house first, and their house first, and we had some disruptions. It didn't quite go well, as you will see in the next few seconds, right, Quinn?
It's really cold.
It's very cold, and it's very refreshing. If you haven't had a Surly Furious, you need to have a Surly Furious. So we went to their house. We had some disruptions. Quinn, how cold is it? No? Anyway, we had some disruptions.
Cold, really cold.
It was really cold. So we had to do a reshoot. But let's just kind of go over what happened the first time around.
This is it.
Say hi! Say hi! Hi, Kevin.
Aiden, where do you hang out? What do you think of all this adoptee stuff? What is your impression of Surly? Okay, well, speaking of coming back to the States. So, is that where you guys met? During that time, when you came back?
Yeah.
You went cougar hunting, Aaron?
He did, actually.
You went hunting! Tell me about the hunting.
It was at a Chinese festival called the
It's not Chinese, it's
Chinese.
Oh, they're all the same.
Called the Asian. Called the Dragon Boat Festival.
How did you play it, Aaron?
Actually, I played it very slyly.
Oh, BS.
I wanted to marry my sister.
Weird.
Weird.
You.
And meeting Amy, I just laid it upon that I wanted to go teach in Korea. And she's like, okay, well, here's my card, and with my number. And later on, I decided to call her that night. And before I could ask her on a date, she said yes. Actually.
Wow. So Amy, you want it on right away?
I was bored again.
Oh, great. Project number 2, huh?
Yeah.
See him and you feel sorry for him, how pathetic he really is. So I felt sorry for him.
Okay, so man, that was great. So that's what the needs assessment's about.
Name is Quinn.
All right, come here. All right, so as you can see, we had some disruptions. We had really great, not so great conversations talking about cougars and whatnot. So we had to reshoot. So Amy came to my house, and we had to finish the conversation there without the beer. But anyway, Surly Furious, the beer of Minnesota.
Well, you don't drink it.
I don't drink it. What do I do with it?
You spell it.
Oh. Okay, who are you and what are you doing in my house? Amy Nafsker, Amy with a Y or an I, who are you?
I'm Amy Nafsker with an I.
Oh, okay.
And I have been invited by you to actually talk about some adoption issues.
Sweet. So you run an organization with the weirdest frickin' name ever. Adopt Source that like parse into one with like a weird capital letter in between. Well, what's Adopt Source?
Adopt Source is basically it's just a combination of adoptees and a resource, and a source to actually find information or get information on adoption. And so we just brought both of those names together. We left out the T because the T just didn't go well with the P and the S, but then also we didn't want people to think that we were an adoption agency either.
What's wrong with being an adoption agency, Amy?
I think just when people see it or hear and see the name adoption agency, they see it more as an agency where they do the adoption for children, but there are no post-adoption services after. And for Adopt Source, we see ourselves more a post-adoption service organization, not an agency.
Uh-huh. What I understand that you founded an organization called Goal, but past in your life, and you're kind of old, right?
I'm very old.
How old are you, Amy?
I'm 40, so they say by my paper.
Oh my God, that's so old.
However, my paperwork, when I went back to my orphanage, they finally admitted, after going back about 10 times, they finally admitted after the 10th time that they had actually screwed up my documents, and that my documents, they screwed my document up with 6 other girls. So they don't know if actually I was this girl, or this girl, and they got me confused. So I could be anywhere between 36 to 40, but my papers say that but the paperwork that they chose for me says I'm 40.
Is this common?
I don't know if it is, but I've seen other people's paperwork and document in orphanages screwed up too.
Ooh-wee. All right, so you're old, which we've covered, and you're like 5 different people in one person, right? Because you have multiple personalities with all these different.
Yes.
Yeah, this is great. So you're running. You founded an organization called Goal. Is that right? Am I pronouncing?
Goal in Korean.
Oh, Goal.
Pronounced Goal.
Ah.
But it's called Goal, GOAL, Global Overseas Adoptees Link. And actually, what happened is in '97, I was with a few friends, adoptees, that we were talking about trying to do an adoptee tour to Korea. However, that didn't pan out. But from all of that work, we decided to, I actually decided to take some of that information and start interviewing and talking to some other adoptees who were living in Seoul. I didn't live in Seoul at the time. And just figure out, like what are some of the needs here. And from that, I started doing some paperwork and research and paperwork, and actually worked with the Korean government on creating the demographics of how many adoptees there are worldwide, and that's where we came up with the number of 200,000.
Ooh.
And from there, '97.
That's 200,000 Korean adoptees.
Korean adoptees worldwide.
Oh my
And
word.
then,
And 10,000 of them are here?
Oh, approximately more than that actually in Minnesota.
Okay.
Yes, it's
All right.
growing, or has grown since. And so in '97, just did a lot of the research, and on '98 I moved to Seoul and decided to actually try to find some adoptees to help create and establish the organization. But it was really difficult just because at that time adoptees were moving in and out. They weren't allowed to stay as long as 3 months out of the year, because we had to leave the country every 3 months.
So I understand that when you started this organization, there were some doubters.
Oh yes, actually, when I started this organization, there were a lot of doubters with the Korean adoptee community. I think there were a couple of European adoptees that actually tried to establish an organization prior to Goal in Korea, and they even had a large funder, Samsung, who actually sponsored and gave them a large amount of money to actually start the organization. However, there was a lot of infighting amongst the European adoptees, and unfortunately, Samsung has lost faith in adoptees since that time. And those European adoptees no longer, I guess, are friends or work together anymore. And so since then, I tried to establish Goal. And also, there are 4 adoption agencies that are in Korea, located in Korea.
Yeah, one of them closed now, right? But at the time, there were 4.
At the time, but I remember specifically the president of Holt had actually spoken up and told me that Goal is just a ghost organization. And this was the first year in '98 when I was establishing it. And they said, Goal is just a ghost organization and it will not last for very long.
What a jackass. So you had like a really important sounding title. You gave that to yourself, right?
I did not actually. We did a very large documentary. KBS, Korean Broadcasting. They did a very large documentary, and it was pretty big, and it was aired at the right time in Korea, where everybody saw the documentary and they saw the documentary about me trying to make gold.
Nice.
And when that happened, thousands and thousands of emails and phone calls came flooding in, and that's how I was able to start getting a lot of Native Korean volunteers to actually come and volunteer and help and establish this organization with me.
Yeah, but you didn't talk about your title. What was the title?
So they gave me the title Secretary General.
Secretary General.
Yes, that is correct.
And as that carried along to what it's currently right now? Goal?
It is, yes. It still continues. It's had a lot of ups and downs. By the time I had left, before I had left, I had applied with the Korean government several times for funding, and by the time I left, they actually finally received the funds. And then now there's a third Secretary General, and that Secretary General is seeing some ups and downs because goals had, a fire within that time, and they've lost funding now through the Korean government because of some other politics going on. But yeah.
So who followed you?
Who followed me?
Yeah, who was the next person who had this impressive title?
His name is Daewon. Yes.
What is that guy doing now? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I think the last I heard, he's still in Korea, and he had an interest in politics and was looking at running for Congress.
Interesting. So what about the person who followed Daewon?
That person's name is James Russo, who's Daewon is from Switzerland. James is from Minnesota.
Yay, Minnesotans!
And James is actually, I think he's doing a pretty good job in Korea, considering the circumstances, a lot of the cuts in staff and funding. So he's got the motivation and drive and a lot of ideas, and he's very businesslike. So I think he's doing well.
Great. Okay, Amy with an I. From what I understand, the current president and CEO of Children's Home Society and Family Services, an organization that you've mentioned, the current CEO and president is Maureen Warren. If you were to be face to face with her right now, and the camera was her, I mean, she's taller than the camera, but if the camera was her, what would you say to her in terms of a possible partnership between Children's Home Society and Adopt Source?
Well, I guess I would say, Ms. Warren, my message to you from Adopt Source is we would really like for Children's Home Society as an adoption agency to continue to do the adoption. I think you guys do a good job with that. However, let Adopt Source take over and run the post-adoption services. Let that organization be your main resource and organization to do post-adoption services instead of Children's Home Society.
Well, what clout do you have to be able to say that, Amy?
I think with all of our experiences working with Goal, and then also working with Adopt Source in the past, and also just being an adoptee myself and having a board of adult adoptees, and also we have some adoptive parents, and then also our committees run by adult adoptees. I think we have a huge club. We know what we need. We feel like we can connect to other adoptees and families much more effectively than I think in adoption agencies that are non-adoptees.